Hello, I'm Howard Nicholson. I'm chairman of Ongar Jazz Club. Ongar Jazz Club, it's been going for over 20 years now, and we have many bands coming from all over the country to play for us. And it's inevitable that some bands we perhaps might not diplomatically ask back again, but there are quite a few bands who the members enjoy. And one in particular, of course, are the Merseysippi Jazz Band from Liverpool. My association with the Merseys go back to the early 90s. Although I come from Liverpool myself, I used to live in Larkfield Road, Aigburth, for anybody who knows that district, came from my cousin. And my cousin went to school with Ken Baldwin. I didn't know that at the time, but I met Ken many years later and mentioned Ongar Jazz Club, and he said that he'd love to come and play at our club one time. Well, one time has been developing into many times, and they're always a popular visitor. In particular, if I had to pick one character out of the band, would be Ken himself. Known to his friends as Nob, and I think that was because Ken himself used to call everybody Nob at one time. And Ken had the unique ability to play excellent rhythm behind the front line and entertain everybody with his monologues. How sad it was just recently that when Pete Fryer phoned me up to tell me of Ken's illness, that I heard that unfortunately Ken had passed away. And when I announced it to all our members at a recent meeting of our club, we had almost a minute's silence in appreciation.
The message I got when I got back last night was that a very old friend of Ongar Jazz Club, a great character and comic, Baldwin of the Merseysippi Jazz Band, he died on the 27th of Feb after a longish illness. I heard about it just before I went away, and I wrote him a long letter and sent a card from Ongar Jazz Club members. And one of the messages on my tape was from his wife saying that Ken very much appreciated that, and he had the card and the letter on his bed when he passed away.
What is going to come on this CD, I hope, is a small tribute of the band's visits to Ongar Jazz Club at the Budworth Hall in Ongar. And in particular, we have picked out one or two little moments that we would call Ken's moments. I hope that this is a suitable tribute. Well, the first number that we've chosen is a good example of how the band and the vocalist play together. It's called I Had Someone First Before I Had You, and in particular I'd like you to note the wonderful technique of Ken Baldwin's right arm rocking to his own rhythm.
In the cafes in town, you are known as the clown. How happy you seem to be. But at the back of your smile, there's a tear all the while, and heartaches that no one can see. For the life that you lead isn't real. Well, my friend, I know just how you feel. 'Cause you've got rings on your fingers, heartaches inside, you're the lonesomest gal in town. And you're everyone's buddy, but nobody's bride, the lonesomest girl in town. Too many parties to bring you no fun, too many bright lights instead of the sun, too many sweethearts, not the right one. You're the lonesomest girl in town. That your life is a show. You'll wake up someday, you'll find that it's too late to return, though your poor heart will yearn for the real things that you've left behind. For each moment you're smiling and gay, there'll be hours of sorrow someday. 'Cause you've got rings on your fingers, heartaches inside. You're the lonesomest gal in town, and you're everyone's buddy, but nobody's bride, the lonesomest girl in town. Too many parties to bring you no fun, too many bright lights instead of the sun, and too many sweethearts, but not the right one. You're the lonesomest girl in town.
Well, we would like to follow that by one of Ken's monologues. Little story attached to this. My wife Pat had a collection of Stanley Holloway monologues in a big book, and we showed it to Ken one evening and he said, "I like that very much." So Pat typed out the words, sent it up to Ken, and this is the result.
Stage life that I lead. I've heard it said the pros are decent people, but according to the papers that I read, those actors and actresses are dead wrong ones, whether from the palace or the hippodrome. The chaps I meet outside know I'm an actor, but I never breathe a word of it at home. So my mother doesn't know I'm on the stage. It'd break her poor old heart if she found out. She knows that I'm a deserter from the Scottish Fusiliers, and she knows I stole a blind man's can. That got me 7 years. And she knows I've been connected with a bunch of West End pests, and the police have had me twice inside the cage. And she knows I mix with ladies who have got a shady past, but my mother doesn't know I'm on the stage. Sometimes she sees the powder on the clothing, and then it's such a nuisance to explain. If she thought it was powder, she'd go crazy. Of course, I have to tell her it's cocaine. The day she met me out with Glenda Jackson, she started shouting murder and police, and would have caused a dreadful scene in public. So I told her that the girl was Crippin's niece, because my mother doesn't know I'm on the stage. And when I take home £800 each week, if she knew where it came from, she'd shoot me like a dog. So I said I stole the money from a Catholic synagogue. She can think that I'm a murderer before she'll know the truth, but have to have respect for her old age. And she knows that I'm a bigamist, a blackguard and a crook. But thank heaven she don't know I'm on the stage. This is the best known of them all. There's a famous seaside place called Blackpool that's noted for fresh air and fun. And Mr. and Mrs. Ramsbottom had gone there with young Albert, their son. A grand little lad was young Albert, all dressed in his best, quite a swell. He had a stick with a horse's head handle, the finest that woolies could sell. And they didn't think much of the ocean. The waves, they were fiddling and small. There was no wrecks and nobody drowning, in fact nothing to laugh at all. So seeking for further amusement, they paid and went into the zoo, where there's lions and tigers and camels and old ale and sandwiches too. And there was one great big lion called Wallace, and his nose was all covered in scars. And he lay in a somnolent posture with the side of his face against the bars. And Albert had heard about lions, how they were ferocious and wild. And to see Wallace lying so peaceful, it didn't seem right to the child. So straightway the brave little fella, not showing a morsel of fear, took his stick with the horse's head handle and he pushed it in Wallace's ear. You could tell that the lion didn't like it, but giving a kind of a roll, he pulled Albert inside the cage with him and swallowed the little lad whole. And Pa, who had seen this occurrence and didn't know what to do next, said to Mother, "Young lion, that's Albert." And Mother said, "Well, I am vexed." The keeper had to be sent for, and he said, "What a nasty mishap. It's sure that it's your boy he's eaten." But I said, "I'm sure here's his cap." And Mother said, "Right's right, young fella. I think it's a shame and a sin that a lion should go and eat Albert after we've paid to come in." The manager had to be sent for, and he came and he said, "What's to do?" And Pa said, "Young lion's at Albert and him in his Sunday clothes too." The manager wanted no trouble and he took out his purse right away. And he said, "How much to settle the matter?" Pa said, "What do you usually pay?" But Mother had got a bit awkward when she thought where Albert had gone. She said, "No, someone's got to be summoned." So that was decided upon. And down they went to the police station in front of Magistrate Chap and said how Lion had eaten Albert and proved it by showing his cap. The magistrate gave his opinion that no one was really to blame. And he said that he hoped the Ramsbottoms would have further sons to their name. And at that Mother got proper blazing. "And thank you, sir, kindly," said she. "What, waste all our life raising children to feed ruddy lions? Not me." There was the sequel, I'll give it a bit later on. Heard how young Albert Ramsbottom up at the zoo at Blackpool one year took his stick with a horse's head handle and gave a lion a poke in the ear. The name of the lion was Wallace. The poke in the ear made him wild, and before you could say "Bob's your uncle," he'd up and he'd swallowed the child. He was sorry directly he'd done it, because with children he'd always been chums. Besides, he'd no teeth in his noddle and he couldn't chew Albert on gums. And he could feel the lad moving inside him as he lay on his bed of dried ferns. It might have been little lad's birthday. He wished him such happy return. But Albert kept fighting and struggling till Wallace arose feeling bad and thought it was time he started to stage a comeback for the lad. So with his head down in a corner, on his front paws he started to walk, and he coughed and he sneezed and he gargled till Albert shot out like a cork. Oh, Wallace felt better directly, and his figure once more became lean. But the only difference with young Albert was his hands and his face were quite clean. In the meantime, Mr. and Mrs. Ramsbottom had gone on to tea feeling blue. Pa said, I feel down in the mouth like. Ma said, I bet Albert does too. And Mum said, it just goes for to show you that the future is never revealed. Because if I'd known we were going to lose him, I'd have not had his boots soled and healed. Let's look on the bright side, said Father. What can't be helped must be endured. Every cloud has a silvery lining, and we did have young Albert insured. And a knock at the door came that moment as Pa these kind words did speak. 'Twas the man from Prudential who called for their twopence per person per week. And when Pa saw who was knocking, he laughed, and he kept laughing so that the young man said, what's there to laugh at? Pa said, you laugh and all when you know. And Mother said you must excuse him for laughing, because things have happened so strange that our Albert's been ate by a lion and you've got to pay us for a change. Come, come, said the man from Prudential. Now come, let's understand this. You don't mean to say that you've lost him? Pa said, oh no, we know where he is. And when the young man had heard all the details, the bag from his pocket he drew, and he paid them with interest and bonus, the sum of £9, 4 and 2. And Pa had scarce got his hand on the money when a face at the window they see, and Mother said, hey, look, there's young Albert. And Pa said, aye, it would be. And Albert came in all excited and started his story to give. And Pa said, I'll never trust lions again, no, not as long as I live. And then the young man from Prudential to pick up the money began. And Pa said, hey, hang on a moment, don't be in a hurry, young man. And turning young round to young Albert, said, here, pop off back to the zoo. Take your stick with the horse's head handle and go and see what the tigers can do.
So, there we've come nearly to the end of our tribute to the Merseysippi Jazz Band, and in particular to our dear friend Ken Baldwin. Many words have been said about Ken and the band, but I think it would be best, even appropriate, if we leave the last words to Ken.
And now I have to say one or two words, and they will be brief, because I am not a man, not a loquacious sort of person. I do enjoy coming and playing, and the band gathered round, they're like family, you know. The band is a family. Even the deputies are great friends. Even the deputies are great friends, and we meet together and we get together rather. It's so intimate. It's difficult to describe. But we are with you as well, because we feel that the whole of the audience is part of the band. Because in a place like this, we are with magnetism. Magnetism. We are being pulled towards you, and you are being pulled towards us. It's rather like light poles attract unlike poles repel. Well, or is it the other way around? What we want to say, we would like to say this because Ongar has always been, and always will continue to be, a marvellous favourite of the band. This beautiful Douglas Hall. Beautiful and are really close friends. We've built up many friendships over here. I've known Howard and his good lady, yes, perhaps, for many moons. Many moons. He is closely connected with Liverpool. He has Liverpool connections. He supports Liverpool Football Club. What better could be that? Good old Howard, yes. No, we love them and we love you all because you've been a wonderful audience and there's this affinity between you and us. There's this to and fro, you know, the wronging, that sort of thing. All night it's gone on. It's gone on all night and we are so lovely. We are so thrilled to get to see you again. And as we recline in our beds, we'll be meditating on the beauty of meeting you all. Thank you very much indeed.